the yoga instructor that would like to transfer some of her in-class instruction to more of a remote instruction, especially since she has a lot of stay-at-home clients. And we also have Johnny, who is a weightlifter extraordinaire, who understands that having perfect form is necessary to mitigate any sort of risk of injury, especially lifting really heavy weights. So, if you are a personal trainer, how would you be able to multiply your personal training reach? And what if you're able to monitor the exercise form and progress of all of your trainees at any time and any place, wherever they're located at? And that's the brilliant AI difference. With your training session for your clients, we can utilize their 2D smartphone camera that's on their camera or on their phone. We can embed joint detection and tracking in 3D and provide real-time joint analysis for all of your training sessions for every single client at any time and any place. So the market opportunity for this type of app, it's fairly large. The fitness app market grew by 53.2% from 2019 to 2020, with a market projection of over $2.8 billion in 2020. And this is also expected to increase at a compound annual growth rate of 21.6% from 2021 to 2028, which is a fairly large growth. And especially since we have this as a health and fitness app, the market for this type of app, there's, I think, over 30,000 types of apps, but only 0.01% of these health and fitness apps utilize some sort of computer vision component for tracking. So we are one of those apps that can provide computer vision. So our artificial personal training system helps personal trainers who want to expand their customer reach by reducing in-person travel and time commitments and enable real-time 3D form analysis, all in the confines of a basic smartphone. Oop. All right, so the timeline for this, in June 2020, we developed the joint detection algorithm prototype, which is able to monitor all the joint positions of the body. In July of this year, we've done some market analysis to see the viability of this product, and it seems fairly viable. So in spring 2020, we're hoping to have a software user interface and user experience developed already into an app form, along with the exercise analysis algorithm for all the different types of personal training there is, so that in summer of 2020, we can have prototype testing and evaluation with all of our personal trainers that would like to use this type of app. Our current team, we have Thepulis H.S. Spears, who is a system analyst, have myself, who is a software developer, and we have Dr. Vijayan Kayasari, which is our lead research and development, who is also a director of the Vision Lab at the University of Dayton, who provides all these different types of algorithms. So team members that we need personal trainers and coaches to provide some expertise on how the joints move for their specific application of interest. And we also need user interface and user experience designers to make the app more fluid for all of the clientele that we will use, this system. So as a recap, the app system is a computer vision-based smartphone app that utilizes your camera and provides real-time 3D joint analysis for all the different types of applications. You have golfing, you have weightlifting, you have yoga. For personal trainers that would like to expand their reach and provide that day in, day out, at any time and any place for all their clients, nationwide or even international. So all you personal trainers, I have a question for you. Are you apt? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good. All right. Quickly, I have a question for you while you're still here. Can you talk a little bit about the variability that would occur with somebody having to lean a cell phone onto something or wherever their device is during the video? Can you talk a little bit about how you handle that?
Yeah, sure. So if you have like a tripod or some sort of holder, or even you can just I used to lift weights, so if you put it on like a set of weights, just as long as a person is in view, even if your limbs are kind of kind of hidden behind the camera, we should still be able to estimate all those joints in 3D, even if they can't see it. So yeah, you should be able to see the joints everywhere.
Very cool. Yeah. Thank you. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, and real quick, we apologize that there wasn't any audio at the beginning. We've got that sorted out. and I'm also cleaning this, which is advancing the slides. You can't see that, thank goodness. All right, so next up, we have Backyard Farm coming to us to talk about something for the little ones in your life. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Jack Bueller, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Backyard Farm. So, Backyard Farm is a toy subscription service that helps parents and children alike who really want a new and exciting experience, a new option in this category, and I'll be doing that by creating kits that are more engaging and facilitate more opportunities for both parents and children, and this can lead to more returning customers more than the current market does. This is an image that we're seeing more and more as technology becomes more integrated into our lives, and especially into our children's lives through playtime, and this can really lead to a lot of opportunities between children and parents. Pushing more towards an image like this one, where children are finding that, or parents are seeing through playtime, as they are taking a larger role, as we've seen through the last year, that their children have a very valuable attention span. Their attention span can be very short in a lot of things that they're not exactly excited about, but they do have unwavering curiosity through a lot of their passions. And so parents want to become that hero and that teacher for them to really drive their excitement for their passions, but parents also desire excitement as well. They want to be engaged with their child through playtime, as well as being excited about the materials that they're being introduced to. So how am I going to be doing that? By introducing a subscription box through this as the facilitator for my product. Well, the subscription box market, not just in the past year that we've seen, but through the past 5 years, the market has grown exponentially. And when we take a look at the types of customers, though, the cancellation rates are around 40%, which really shows us that there's a lot of ease of entrance and ease of exit into this market through the consumer lens. So how can we kind of extend that period, as well as looking at who those recurring monthly subscribers are? Parents that are young parents, 25 to 35, living primarily in urban areas, making around $50,000 to $100,000 a year, that is who our target market is. And with children roughly around 5 to 8 years old is the demographic. Now, when taking a look at parents, children are the primary user for this product. However, considering the parents is a very important aspect when looking at a toy subscription service. So looking at the two prominent features there that are impacting them is the uniqueness of the product, as well as the depth of experience. If you have a very surface level experience, the length of time spent using the product is going to be minimal, and exit could occur. And if a product is not very unique, it's pretty standard, the excitement around it is not going to push further subscription. So to really have that in-depth experience in a unique product is where our market really can strive. So Backyard Farm, the theming that really brings about this is aiming to increase children's exposure to the origins of their food, including what, where, and how it grows through these experiments. And being able to introduce this aspect of where our food comes from, the food cycle, how it can be a circular process, is a really great way to expand the amount of opportunity and experience kits that we can provide for our customers. Now the user journey map looks a little bit like this. You would see the starter box received after the subscription that really gets the kids started off, meeting a little character to help guide them through this story journey, and then monthly category boxes labeled their produce, soil, grow, and compost, again enable a large variety of experiments to keep people coming back for new categories to not get bored with the product. So then as they go through here, you can upload your progress to receive rewards, and then reach for more rewards to get achievements. This kind of gamifies the process in order to continue to keep engagement for longer than a couple months before the exit really occurs. So this is a kind of render to showcase what some of these kits would look like. As I mentioned, you have the starter kit there that really offers the base level of tools that they can receive and kind of things to get started. But as you go through and gain more physical products, as you get monthly boxes, the child is building a repertoire of tools that not only they can use for our awesome experiments, but out and about and every day with mom and dad outside or in the house gardening, whatever it may be. So as I've mentioned, this was my senior thesis. I'm a recent undergrad graduate from the university, and I've spent the last year developing the research and design for this product. But going through this 1819 Venture Lab, I've had the opportunity to really figure out what that timeline of success looks like for Backyard Farm. We can see many options, whether that's going right to market or going through programming, but there are needs on my end that I'm not going to stand up here and pretend like I know everything, right? I am an industrial design major, and I am the creator of Backyard Farm, but what I really need to kind of choose that timeline, the best timeline there, is through access to customers. I need help with guidance through expertise in business strategy to help choose that right timeline for this product. And then once that chosen timeline, to have a resource to implement that program. So with all of that help, I'll be able to enter that market successfully and running forward. So thank you so much. If anybody has any questions.
All right, lucky you, I have a question, right? So I have children in your age range that you're looking for. I think my biggest question is, what am I going to have them do related to this while it's taking its time to grow? Right, so how do I keep them engaged throughout what is normally somewhat of a long process for little kids?
Right, that was a big understanding to try to figure out with a young group of kids, again, that attention span being so difficult. With a lot of the experience, the sheets that you would get to kind of fill out and journal, I did a lot of research into figuring out ways to create activities throughout the growing stage. So utilizing seeds that grow very quickly, like microgreens, or propagating things to see at least a little bit of progress, not necessarily a couple months, but choosing things that enable short-term activities, things like that.
But when you get ready to test, I can provide some access to customers.
Wonderful. Yes, our first testers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. All right, next up, Cognect Ed. Andrew, would you like to come up here and talk to us about what you've been working on?
I would like to come up here and
Fantastic.
talk to you all.
Well, good. If you said no, I'd be pretty worried, because then I'd have to give your
really
slides.
ruin the experience,
Right, it would. Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is Andrew Bernier, and this is Cognected, Visualized Assessment for Cognitive Connections. That is important, thank you. All right, so these numbers and figures may not mean a whole lot to you now, but they sure as heck mean a lot to these people, and particularly if you were from the ages of 14 to 22. Now, how these people in your life see those numbers can vary differently, all the way from the parent to the administration that runs the schools that provides those numbers for you. But as a longtime teacher myself and now a professor in the College of Education, I was that person in the center trying to translate what these numbers mean. It was my job to make sure to see that every stakeholder in a student's education can actually see the opportunities for development and improvement, whether or not they thought that maybe these numbers were good enough, or maybe there was better that we could do. And so I see an opportunity here that grades are less about improvement in our research, but really more about reporting. Students and families oftentimes don't see the value of all those individual numbers, but rather only sources of stress. And letter grades themselves, as in the B that you might get at the end of the semester, they're not individualized for different students. So one student's B is seen as another student's B, even though we know those grades are very different from how they make sense of the hundreds of different concepts over the year. And a faculty member I was talking with, he says, when I lecture, it's like a black box for students. Whatever goes in their head, I can't see how they're making sense of the ideas in there. So I thought, we need a new tool to help guide better targeted teaching. And so I want to introduce to you, come on, buddy, and how I go about my classroom. So this is from Canvas. Many of you are probably familiar with it. When I write assignments, all instructors do this, but I want to point out at the bottom here, when I do assignments, I actually write them almost like a social media post, where at the bottom I do hashtags, but those are the key vocabulary and competencies that I want to make sure that's addressed in my lesson. And then I go about grading as I usually do, as I spend many, many hours trying to figure out what all these numbers are going to be. But then Cognected is a visual app that actually goes ahead and reads, let me make sure we start playing here. It actually reads those grades and the text in those assignments. And so, all right, so the video doesn't play, so I'm going to do some stills here. This is an actual still shot of the nodes. So each one of those hashtags becomes a node, and the bigger the node and the closer they're together, the better the students are making sense of those ideas in isolation and in relation to one another. And the further apart and the smaller they are, the worse off they are. The map on the left is my entire class of how they're making sense, and or on the right, and then on the left is an individual student. So I can do a side-by-side comparison of my quality of teaching to their connectivity of learning. And you can categorize the different nodes by color coding and different maps. And you can actually see here, this is the session, this is the whole class of one assignment, and then on the left is an individual student. You can see that student is really struggling. And this tells me where I can target my instruction. The competition right now for what's in the market is failing. It's a $10 billion market currently, but with the continuous move to remote learning, we're looking at almost $40 billion by the end of the decade. But all the competition still isolates concepts, and they focus on content and curriculum management. None do the type of pair grading with mapping that we do. And they also provide no insight on how to move forward and offer career opportunities and further learning. So our difference is that we do learning gap visualization for targeted areas of improvement. And right now, organizational mapping and dynamic network analysis, it better reflects of how employers evaluate human assets. You can go to your LinkedIn page right now and do the same visualization for your network. Imagine being able to do the exact same thing for how you make sense of ideas in your head and allowing a teacher to see that too. So it provides a visual map to have a shared vision for success. And our early adopters right now are going to be universities with Canvas, such as UC. Our target market is actually faculty to test and nudge school administration to then make a purchase. And our goal is to make this available on the Education App Center, which is an open repository of ed tech, which you can get on Canvas. Any faculty member can access it right now. The value proposition of Cognected is we provide visual targeting of student learning. It provides a clear, unbiased, and therefore equitable guide to save time in terms of remediation. If we're already dumping a ton of time into our grades, let's make our grades work smarter, and visualization can help with that. Not to mention teachers, but counselors and special ed instructors can also help with this program. Our traction strategy, we've been at this for a bit now. We're a fully formed LLC. The minimally viable product, which you just saw, is now bare bones working, but we need more user testing. We need to rebuild our development team. And as we test a product, make adjustments based off of data. And we do need help with marketing and visualization as well. And our hope is to get into schools by the end of the next year. So with that, we do need team members. I need people who are savvy with hardware and data storage. As you can see, I need help with user UX, UI as well, and support software for rebuilding or building out the website as well. And any legal education compliance can be helpful. The team currently is myself. I'm a one-man team. This is super hypersensitive. I do get assistance from my friend Chris Wilson, who has been well experienced in out west in the tech scene. And I do have an outgoing team of the student developers who have been helping, but I am looking to rebuild a team of developers that can help with this project. That's Cognected. Thank you so much and for your time.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
Nice job, thank you. I'll take the microphone, thank you. And then, actually, hang on to this, I'm going to ask you a question. So, talk a little bit more about, maybe what's not clear to me is exactly who is going to see this. Is it just the faculty member who then knows how to remediate, or are students going to access this and say, boy, obviously I really don't have a grasp on this item right here and I need some help? And then do you then give them tools to help?
The hope is the latter. So right now it is just teachers.
Okay.
They read the program reads the grade books, and so that if it's for their eyes that they can see. The hope is that individual accounts will be made available to students and therefore their parents.
Okay.
And they can have not the whole class view, but the individual student view to see, okay, this is where this program might be suggesting. And based off of how well or how poorly the students are making connections, the hope is that the machine can help families determine what majors and what career paths for the students to go to through advanced machine learning.
Okay, and then do you think there's a chance at all where it also starts to get viewed against faculty's ability to teach a topic?
You know, when I was a teacher for a long time, I always walked away, or my students walked out of the room, I thought, did I do that well? With this, it can tell me not only did I do it well, but this is how the students took it, or it tells me how I need to remediate my own teaching, let alone how I need to reteach my students.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. We have an online question coming in from the back. I'll repeat it for the camera, don't worry.
Are there any barriers to entry to get apps on the EduApp Center in Kansas? Can you test on Kansas?
Are there any, so the question was, are there any barriers to entry on the EduApp Center?
Yeah, EduAppCenter.com.
Okay, on Canvas. And the latter part? Can you test on Canvas? Is there a way, I guess what we're getting at, is there a way to test this without having to do a whole bunch of things to spool up to get onto the EduAppCenter?
Sure. There are a couple barriers to getting an app up onto Canvas, and that's where I do need further help with the development team. We got through cookies and are not. We're right now we're working off of cookies and tokens. I don't want to go too far into the jargon, but there's a little bit further development that you do need to get onto EduAppCenter. So it's yes, essentially the answer to that question. But right now, anybody can access this program. If you were to go to the website, you can request access to it. But Canvas is nice that you can openly test right now, and that is our current testing platform. And again, any instructor who's seeing this can literally use this program right now. It is live.
Awesome. Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks again. All right. Next up, Lend Optics. Grab your microphone right there and come on up. I will hand you this clean clicker. That's all yours. And have at it. All right?
The screen?
This is advanced. Yep.
Welcome. I'm John Shoemaker. I'm developer of Lend Optics. Look at this. Seriously? Delivering next level insight for small lenders and P2P investors. Currently, person-to-person investing is sophisticated investor market only. Generally, people who are novices in investing are afraid of it. They don't know about it. But by democratizing P2P lending, it allows more capital to get into the market, plus more opportunity for alternative investments for the mass market. Currently, seriously, how's that touchy? So, P2P lending is simple. You have people who have money, people who need money. Then you have a platform like Prosper that will actually do all the back office work. Then the investor can put money into Prosper in $25 allocations. Problem is, how do you determine if the loan is good? So, it's simple, but you have to have the right toolkit to solve the problem. Currently, the global growth projections for P2P lending market is $550 billion by 2027. This is a huge opportunity for profits. There are only 2 lenders currently available, and most of them have limited analytical or managerial fund management opportunities. Investors have to gather on Reddit and on Lending Academy just to get information. The Lend Optics difference. Prosper processes loan applications. The loan applications that are completed go through Lend Optics and go to investors. Then Lend Optics determines what loans fit into the investor parameters. If the parameters ongoing are more negative for economic outlook, it will actually change the risk management for the portfolio. It'll benefit P2P investors, P2B investors, and fund managers, potentially small credit unions. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong slide, the one I submitted. I'll skip this one. How this works is you have a portfolio is protected. Everything's wrong. Due to you have an interest rate, determines interest rate, interest income, your risk levels, and then you have a default rate. Then it will actually determine, okay, where do you want to actually invest in? So then also, the next slide that should have been there, it would be how it works is you have loans that create better alpha because they have higher interest rates, lower risk by understanding risk management on determining what determinants are for default. Then you have lower risk, lower losses, therefore higher alpha, higher income. The current timeline is I have an MVP Excel platform done, but I need to have testing for a larger market. It's basically 12, just have income, have the data polls for monthly data polls. That's all I need for testing. An AI software build out, software testing for bugs, potential, product release. I am a former Navy nuclear operator, accounting degree, and an MBA. I developed out a program for workforce group similar to this, but having to do with integration of electric vehicle and gasoline vehicle as well. Current needs, access to P2P loan data, software development, potential patent system, testing and marketing. I'd love to have you join the Lend Optics team to bring democratization of P2P market. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you. Hand me the clicker. There we go. So quick question for you. I'm not as familiar with the terminology that you're using. Can you talk about the level of background somebody might need to be able to utilize this eventually?
Actually minimal. Ideal is designed for the barista, the waitress, the accountant who has 3 kids who does not have any desire to actually do the investing. So the ideal world would be you have several options. You have analytics, so if you're a sophisticated investor, you want to do your own analytics, and then do it on a separate platform, or you could actually have it so that it would have a self-managed platform, kind of like basically, and then have a managed fund potentially for people who don't want to touch it. Just be like, okay, I want this risk level, and try to get this returns. So then it'd be completely managed. And there are 2 managed funds currently out there, companies, and this market is so huge that it could easily expand out and handle many more companies. Just like mutual fund market has many companies that handle mutual funds. This market is supposed to grow massively over the next many years, and even a small portion would be a huge opportunity for profit.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. All right, next up is a very colorful presentation by Nicole Chance. Evolve, why don't you come on up here? The clicker is yours.
Thank you.
And we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Nicole Chance, and I'm very excited to share with you today a little bit about my story. Perhaps. There we go. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. That means that my spine doesn't bend the way that it's supposed to. As I got older and my pain got worse, I decided to go to physical therapy for some help. All of the material that they gave me to complete my at-home exercise programs, or HEPs, were hard to understand, outdated, and super boring. It made it really hard to know what to do on my own. I found that all of the kids younger than me struggled even more than I did. Not only does that mean they're not healing or growing properly, but it means more frustration for them and their physical therapist. Studies find that HEPs can account for up to 80% of PT treatments, and that kids don't complete these HEPs. Up to 91% fail to do so. And that's why I created Evolve, to help other kids like me. Evolve is a digital solution for physical therapists and their pediatric patients. It allows for better at-home exercise engagement in a fun and encouraging way, and in a language that kids understand. With an extensive catalog of exercises and lots to learn, it makes HEPs a breeze for both PTs and their patients. Evolve allows kids to see exactly what exercises they need to do each day from their custom HEP. After each exercise, kids give real-time feedback to their PT, allowing for them to gather all of the information needed to provide higher quality care. Kids can also customize their own exercise buddy, helping them to learn exactly how to move their body on their own and have fun while doing it. Finally, Evolve allows for kids to earn medals for all their hard work. It builds a sense of purpose, fairness, and fun that leaves kids wanting to come back time and time again and feeling more courageous. Put Put simply, Evolve is for physical therapists who have trouble getting their pediatric patients to complete their HEPs. Our digital solution makes it easy to create custom HEPs that encourage and engage kids in a genuinely fun experience, all while tracking the important data needed to provide higher quality care and help these kids succeed. Currently, Evolve exists as wireframe sketches and a prototype click-through of the patient side of the app. But I have been able to do some user testing with PTs of various different backgrounds, many of whom express interest in participating in a beta upon the completion of the Evolve minimum viable product. Ideally, Evolve would operate as a SaaS tool on a B2B business model, where PTs act as the advocates and the purchasers, as well as the facilities that they work at. According to IBIS World, the US PT market is valued at $38.3 billion and is expected to grow to $44 billion by the year 2026. When you look at the market specifically, physical therapists are beginning to offer more and more services and products complementary, as well as diversifying their toolkits to incorporate more and more tech. Meaning one could say the industry is evolving in a way to provide a catalyst for viral growth. So where has Evolve been? Where is it going? And where is it now? In the spring of this year, I built the wireframes and prototype and applied to the 1819 for some help. Currently, I'm in phase 2 of research. But in the future, next year ideally, I would love to build the Evolve MVP and continue the patent process, with later MVP beta testing that same year. Backed by my 2 years of experience working at local startup Cloverleaf and my rigorous schooling at UC's DAP program, as well as the support of loved ones, professors, and my ever-growing group of PT professionals, I've been able to get this far on my own. But for Evolve to truly be a success, I need some help. So what do I need for Evolve to thrive? First, I'm looking for a mentor, someone to partner with that's eager to share their knowledge and experience with me, because I'm ready to dive in. I'm looking for help in the creation of Evolve's MVP. And last, continued guidance through this patent process. I believe that together, we can truly change the HEP experience for PTs and their patients. Strengthen, grow, learn, and be inspired. See how much you evolve. Thank you.
Nice job. You did some fancy clicking work, because I'm going to be honest, I was like, you caught yourself faster than I even noticed what was going on. So apologies, you were having some issues. Can you talk about the sort of the personality for this, the next thing you need is this business leader, like an EIR. Talk a little bit about the personality of the person you might need that might fit best with you. So is there a certain personality type that would really work well with you that you could talk about for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I need somebody that's willing to take risks and somebody that's willing to teach, but also willing to think a little outside of the box or creatively, because this is a space that doesn't really have a lot of tools currently. So we need to be able to think big picture, but also think about the user experience on both the patient and the physical therapist side. So somebody bold and brave.
All right, good. I think there's some of those people around town. Thank goodness. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next up.
Hello.
Hold on. Late question. Nicole, can you come back up? Go ahead, Dave.
This is a little further along, but you mentioned physical therapists would pay for the program. Can you detail who will actually pay for the service?
All right, so the question was that you mentioned physical therapists would pay for the program. Can you give a little detail to who would pay for the service?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a dual-sided app that would ideally operate on sort of that SaaS tool subscription basis, meaning that the facility the PT works at, or the PT themselves, because in research I found that sometimes PTs are paying out of pocket, their facility doesn't provide that funding, they would actually be the ones paying for it, and it would then provide the opportunity to supply that to their patients. Because like I was saying, the marketplace is showing a lot of complementary services or tools that the facilities pay for and offer for patients to use at home.
It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of years how much of that is actually started to get picked up by people when they see efficacy of something like this, right? The hospital's getting picked up. So thank you. I can tell you as a person with small children, I think one of the other pieces of it you may have to think about is if parents would pay for it.
Yep.
Because pretty confident that if my kid needed some type of physical therapy, I would outlay whatever I could to get them back faster.
And
right?
maybe that means you would be an advocate to your PT.
Right.
You would find it and be like, hey, let's use this.
You should use this thing. Right,
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right. Next up, Generation Now. Renika, come on down.
Hello, hello, hello.
I feel like we need like flashing lights and there's like number signs up here, almost like we're playing Price is Right. All right, you're
Price
up.
is Right with Renika Smalley. How's everyone doing
luck.
this morning?
Clicker.
Need the clicker. How's everyone doing this morning? All right. That's good, that's good, that's good. We got to have fun even with the coronavirus season and the mask. My name is Renika Smalley. I am the founder and CEO of Generation Now Cincinnati Network. Which way to clicker? Okay. Our mission is to provide world-class networking, mentorship, and career training to all young professionals. So a little background about me. I'm a native from Cincinnati. Years ago, I left Cincinnati for a little while for relocation opportunities for a career. When I came back home about 8 years ago, I seen that Cincinnati was still kind of the same place what it was when I left. And it was really hard for me to connect into the business community. And it was really hard for me to find all of the young professionals in Cincinnati. When I lived in Atlanta and Chicago, it was really easy. There were a lot of networking events and opportunities going on within the community where you can get connected very easy. You can find all the young professionals. And here in Cincinnati, there was a lack of diversity I seen, representation, and any networking events that were available, they were mostly for C-suits. So the solution that Generation Now came up with was to create a membership-based organization that will give young professionals access to the business community so they don't have to work for years like I did to kind of create that community, and to give young professionals access to resources so they can network and find mentorship and business need opportunities. The programs are affordable. That was another issue that I seen within the market in Cincinnati. If you wanted to do any training or go through a young professional leadership development program, it would have to be at least $3,500 to $4,500 a year for a 9-month program. With Generation Now, your corporation will pay for a membership. You can get an individual membership between $50 to $100 depending on the package that you buy. And our organization programming and membership is very inclusive. We're welcome to everyone. And so here's a testimony from Carl Pacer, who is the HR Global Diversity and Inclusion Leader at Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble was one of our previous sponsors for workshops and events for young professionals. The top 10 list gives great value and an opportunity for HR managers to honor young professional employees. Our P&G YPs were very appreciative of the award. So Generation Now, we started a top 10 list about 6-7 years ago. In the top 10 list, we each month awarded young professionals for their achievements within the community or at work. And so Procter & Gamble and other corporations, they love the great work that Generation Now was doing, so they actually sponsor the awards. Now this has become Generation Now Awards, and we have the digital awards this fall as well too. So if you know a young professional that's working hard, feel free to nominate them on our website. And so here's another testimony from Carlton Collins. Carlton Collins, he's a former board member of Generation Now, one of the founding members, and he actually he relocated back to Cincinnati from Atlanta too. He went to Morehouse College, which is a historical black college. When Carlton got back to Cincinnati, he was so used to being in an environment where all he seen was African Americans. When he got back to Cincinnati, it gave him the opportunity to adapt to our environment, because in your workplace, you're not just going to work with all African Americans. You have to be able to work inclusively with a whole lot of different people from diverse backgrounds. And so when we look at diversity and inclusion, we have to look at it twofold. It works both ways. So this is what Generation Now is looking for. We're looking for partnerships for curriculum development, instructor. We're looking for marketing partnerships, anyone that can help out with especially digital marketing, some websites we need for our virtual programs, and we'll have physical programs for our leadership program here. Also, we need access to young professional employees, like as Carl gave a testimony about, is our Generation Now Awards, which we need young professionals to nominate, and we need students for our training program. And this is what Generation Now looks like when you come to an event. Very diverse and inclusive. Welcome to all young professionals. And so here's by the numbers of the impact that Generation has had since 2015. We have a network base of 3,000 young professionals. We have raised $200,000 since 2015. We have 80 volunteers, and we have hosted 50 programs and events to really navigate and grow this organization from just events and workshops to training programs to being able to sustain longevity. We need partnerships, we need the fundraising, the investments. And so here's a couple of our past workshops: Unraveling Systematic Racism, Essential Steps in Winning the Game of Career Advancement, YP Networking Board Opportunities. And here are some of our plans for 2020. We plan to host January 22, hopefully here at Venture Lab, the Inclusive Leadership Cohort program. It's a 4-week program, overcoming leadership obstacles as a person of color, and women in leadership and women of color, how to lead. And we have other workshops too, resisting bias, management, and we have inclusive, but those are some of our diverse workshops that we have. Thank you guys for the time. Any questions?
All right, I have a question.
Yes.
How did they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of us at Renika, RENIKA.SMILEY at gennowcincy.org, or you can go to our website, www.gennowcincy.org.
We'll put that in. We'll have Dave drop your contact information in the chat box too for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for everybody.
It's very exciting. It's always impressive. Sorry to interrupt you. It's always impressive to hear about all the things you've been able to accomplish as volunteers, just trying to pull something together. So
yeah, and so it's time to take it to the next level. So we need as much help from the community as possible.
Let's see what we can do to help.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
Anybody from the audience? All right.
Okay.
We'll drop your contact info there.
Thank you.
All right, next up, another DAP product, and my favorite probably of the physical products, because I love it when somebody creates something and they think about it, they render it, etc. But when they actually build something, I get real excited, because you probably don't know is that I'm a mechanical engineer, so I can really nerd out on the stuff that you're doing. Mm-hmm. So with that, why don't you go ahead and help everybody get acquainted with JackStacks?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Josie Sieverding, and I'm the founder of JackStacks. So this journey starts with me becoming an adoptive cat dad. Having always considered myself a dog person, I was definitely hesitant when my girlfriend first rescued 2 cats. However, after meeting Jack and Tippy, I quickly fell in love. My girlfriend and I were both creatives, so she studied fine arts and I studied architecture. And as a result, we're definitely design conscious. And when we began looking for a cat tower, we knew we wanted something that we could display in our apartment. However, as we began looking online as well as at our local PetSmart, everything we were finding was either really ugly or really expensive. And that wasn't going to work for us. So we decided to build a temporary solution out of some scrap lumber in our garage. And this was definitely better than the stuff we were finding at PetSmart. However, it wasn't a perfect solution for a small apartment. This did, however, get me thinking about our search for value, aesthetic, and size. And I realized we couldn't be the only cat owners facing these dilemmas. So I did some research. I started reading interviews with other cat owners online, as well as conducting my own interviews with potential customers. And I kept reading and hearing similar things. The carpets are ugly, my apartment is too small, or I'm willing to spoil my cat, but not if it means buying something hideous. I also looked at larger trends, such as the number of renters in the US, the interest in affordable modern furniture, and of course, a number of cat owners in the US. And all of these trends showed growth. Coupled with the pet industry breaking $100 billion this past year, I decided it was worth pursuing my idea. During our search, these were the average market cat towers my girlfriend and I were finding. They're poorly constructed, carpet-covered monstrosities that we were going to have to hide away in the back corner of our apartment and hope no one ever saw. We also found alternatives, often on websites such as Etsy. However, these towers come with a higher price tag, and neither of them addressed all of the issues we were having at the onset of our journey. So as I began developing JackStacks, I focused on three things: modularity, design, and dual functionality, directly addressing the very issues we were having at the beginning. The first is modularity. Through flexible design, you get several configurations out of a singular purchase, and the tower can shrink and grow over time based on customer needs, such as available space, number of cats, or budget. The second focus was design. All JackStacks are fabricated using furniture-grade birch plywood, and they come in a variety of different colors that allow the customers to choose their own aesthetic. In addition to this, the modularity allows me to continuously design new panels and accessories that allow the customer to switch out features over time without having to replace the entire tower. The last and most important feature that sets us apart from competitors is dual functionality, the ability for the cat owner to also inhabit the tower. So every box module that you see here in green doubles as a stool or a side table. And this is the very first prototype of our tabletop/bench module. And if you stack it one high, you have a bench or a coffee table. And double it up, as you see here on screen, you have a table that can function as your office desk. This is the first prototype of what I hope will become a large selection of possibilities. JackStacks looks to reframe what a cat tower can provide. It alters the value proposition. You're not just spending a few $100s on your cat, you're spending a few $100s to buy a piece of furniture that just so happens to accommodate both you and your pet. To date, I've undergone several rounds of prototyping, as well as hitting a few key milestones such as forming an LLC and having my first 2 sales. Next steps include ramping up the marketing effort, as well as building out the manufacturing process to match the marketing effort. I also hope to launch this product as a Kickstarter to gain momentum and build a core customer base. What I need, as the only member of the team, having studied architecture, my strengths lie in design and fabrication. And I need experience and guidance with marketing, as well as building out a manufacturing process that can match this marketing effort. Cat owners are in need of a next-generation cat tower that caters not only to their functional needs, but their growing desire for beautiful design. With your help, I can present such a solution, so I hope you'll join Jack's adventure, and I'm open to taking any questions should you have them. Thank you.
All right. So, awesome. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the desire to sell a flat pack product versus selling just the plans or the files, right? Because that's another way that you can, sell products like this today. And
Yeah.
that reduces your shipping cost, et cetera. So talk a little bit about the choice made there.
I think the biggest reason for that is that currently all of the product is milled, and most people, the average cat owner, doesn't have access to a CNC machine. And also it allows us to have control of quality and ensure that for the price that they're paying, they're getting a quality product that'll last them a long time.
Okay, good. I like the focus on execution. We have a question coming in from the internet.
It seems like other cat towers include materials like carpet or rope that I assume is a cat friendly design. Does your design work with cat functional needs?
So that does sound like a question Dave would ask. So the question is about material choice related to a cat's desire to sit on something hard versus pillows, softer material, ropes, etc. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the accessorization that might happen later?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that's in the pipeline. One of the accessories I'm developing currently is a panel substitute that has the scratch ability. And the idea is that over time we have accessories like cat beds, and these things aren't attached to the tower, so when they wear and tear over time you can replace them, and you can also more easily take them off and clean them. The carpet covered towers are difficult to clean, and as a result over time you'll have to replace the whole tower, whereas now you can replace a singular piece. So yeah, that's definitely something that I haven't prototyped yet, but it is in the pipeline.
Very good. For those of you watching at home, that is a question Dave asks like every time. Because Dave, if he puts himself in the mind of a cat, and he's a huge cat person, he knows that having a big soft pillow would be comfortable. So anyway, thank you. I'm sure that gives you an opportunity to grow into the future, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Mandar, come on down. He's grabbing his microphone. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kick off your presentation.
Hi, so my name is Mandar Pargaukar. So I'm a master's student at UC, and well, this was initially just my master's project. Then I thought if I get it out of the lab, it could help a lot of people. Well, and this remote net helps, I guess. I think I pressed the wrong button. Yeah, okay, it's functioning. Yeah, so, well, like 1 million of elderly people every year experience falling, and falling can be fatal. Even it can cause like serious injuries as hip fractures, and which is like falling is the most common cause behind hip fractures in elderly. And this problem is also in the nursing homes, which face like, residents in the nursing homes like this, like more than 50% of them fall like every year. And with like rise in number of elderly requiring nursing home care, falling has become a huge problem for the nursing homes. Well, a lot of money is being spent every year to treat fall injuries in billions of dollars by Medicare or any healthcare services, or even by the individuals in $1,000. So I just thought of a solution to this. So we can use the existing exoskeleton technology and just modify it so that it can adapt to the user needs and provide the support when needed. So just imagine like if you're walking over an obstacle and there is a high chance of tripping at that time if your foot gets in contact with the obstacle, and eventually it could lead to falling. So this exosuit can potentially prevent the trip, so which is the root cause behind trip-induced falls. So trip-induced falls like are more than the 50% of the falls in elderly people. So this technology can actually prevent those falls. So that is just one application to it. And well, even though it all sounds like really good, still like most of the big players in the market, they are not really addressing this issue, but their applications are for mostly industrial or for military or for even in the healthcare. Their user group is stroke patients or for rehabilitation. So these are like the best which are out there. So when I said the soft exosuit, so if you see the West Institute at Harvard, they have one. but its application is for military purpose, and the Sutex technology offers the assistance for the industrial workers. So both are like the power augmentation devices. So the only actually established market in which we can land this product would be mobility aids, because that's what it is doing. It can replace actually the canes or the walkers as well, which are not really useful when you're climbing up the stairs. And even the those mobility scooters are not really useful inside house. So this has like a really it is expecting a lot of growth because of increase in elderly population. So also there are widely used fall detection or fall alert devices, which are only useful when somebody falls. So this is not really a good solution to the problem. So I believe and even like many studies also pointed out that even one single intervention as simple as like better lighting conditions or even handrails on a staircase can prevent thousands of falls, and that can save like or millions of dollars in like costs. So I think this exosuit can actually benefit not just the end user but also to the caregivers and caretaking facilities such as nursing homes or hospitals even. So they have actually a really good growth rate because those services are like really costly, and I believe they will be able to afford this solution. Well, right now on the team is just me. Well, I'm looking for expertise from industrial design or from business background or from marketing or from patent processing and law, and even I will need some access to like actually test this exosuit on the elderly people. So that would be really helpful. And that's all. If you have any questions, please feel reach out to me. Thank you.
All right. All right, hang on to the microphone. I'll take the clicker. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the time frame you think you might be to getting to a physical prototype?
Yeah, I think I missed that slide actually, because I was wondering that slide is somewhere. So yeah, so if you just go to slide number 10. So right now, the thing which I'm working on is the prototype 1. So that is underway. That is supposed to prevent trips actually, and I plan to finish the testing on it by the end of this year. And the prototype 2, if I get more time, because I plan to graduate in next spring. So if I get more time, then I plan to implement a slip prevention strategy. So like after trips, slips are the most fall causing phenomena. And I believe it might take like actually to get all the approvals from FDA and all to launch this product by probably optimistically by 2025.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next up. All right. For you, this is one of you guys may recognize a team member's name on this, as Dr. Helmecki has been on a couple of these over the last couple years of our life here in the Venture Lab. So I'm always happy to see another team come through from a professor's lab here. So please, with that, have at it.
Thank you so much. I'm Sai Bonthu. I'm a lead controls engineer at a robotics and AI startup, and I'm also a PhD student working with Dr. Helmecki and Dr. Victor Hunt at University of Cincinnati Infrastructure Institute. While I'm doing my PhD, the exciting research that we do in our lab is traffic management and how to make it very smarter and safer. When you think of traffic, it's not just about queuing at a traffic signal. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more technology that's implemented by different marketing competitors out there to get the number of vehicles that are passing by an intersection, or what decision do you have to make to enter a roundabout, the flow rate, different types of roads, vehicles, how do we classify them? So there's just a lot of complexity involved in traffic. And it makes planning a huge challenge for city engineers and traffic engineers out there. One such example is Bradley Costco, who's a city engineer at City of Hudson, Ohio. They were thinking about how can they implement adaptive signal processing? If there's an event in your city, how do we regulate the traffic dynamically? And how do we implement roundabouts or safer transportation techniques to help improve, solve some of the traffic management challenges out there? So it's not just a problem for Bradley Costco, it's a problem for many cities and states. Some people are thinking, can we implement roundabouts to solve some of these problems? Bradley has other problems. He wants to detect pedestrians crossing at a certain downtown intersection. So they want to detect using their existing infrastructure. And Massachusetts DOT has even went one step ahead and wanted to detect wrong-way vehicles or even bike beds in tunnels to provide safer transportation out there. So it's a big problem. It has a dollar amount to it associated with it. It's about $5 billion. The video recording and smarter traffic management analyzers are about $5 billion market in North America. And the bigger pie, the intelligent transportation systems itself, is about $32 billion in North America, and it's expected to grow at a faster rate of 16% by 2025. Current resources, the marketing competitors out there are MyoVision, GridSmart, Streetlight Data, All Traffic Data Services. Everybody's doing great, but they're providing traffic data with their own proprietary software and hardware. They do not provide real-time data analytics to take quicker decisions to provide safer transit today. And there's no existing infrastructure integration which can deal with vehicle to infrastructure, which is coming very, very soon, connected vehicles. So enter smarter traffic management. This is where we would fit in. We can integrate the existing solutions out there that are being used by cities and states, and be that extra layer that can provide integration way more easier. From a technology standpoint, all we have to do is just input a video, and then we will do all the detection of the vehicles and count the vehicles, give you all the traffic data that can be interpreted as a very meaningful way for the customers. Particularly for City of Hudson, this is an example where we can choose all of their intersections, use their existing infrastructure, or provide drones to get the traffic videos and solve the problems that they have currently by calibrating their intersections or any traffic problems that they have. Other applications, we do have an MVP that's already proven the concept at City of Dublin, Ohio, where we were able to successfully give them traffic parameters and also calibrate a particular roundabout, which was very complex. Moving forward, we would like to start with phase one, where we want to scale the MVP so that we can, our technology can be a little more productive, recruit a EIR who can support our business motives, and also provide that real-time solution which can give them realistic and most easily interpretable data. And phase two, I would like to expand to beta sites. There are other cities, City of Carmel, Texas DOT, everybody is doing a lot of research on implementing AI-based solutions and providing traffic monitoring, solving traffic monitoring challenges. So we'd like to expand our customer base and provide on-site demonstrations with our proof of concept. All right, so our team of experts, Dr. Arthur Helmicke, he's our academic lead. Dr. Victor Hunt is also our academic lead. I'm the entrepreneur lead and also a lead controls engineer at a startup. We do have really good mentors currently, principal engineer who is at Kittleson Associates, Kevin Lee, and City of Pepper Pike, Ohio, Councilman Jim Lime. They have been reviewing our technology and providing support and feedback on how we are moving forward. We do look for an EIR who can support us move forward to the phase one and get our technology, scale it up, and start seeing some really good commercialization steps moving forward. And thank you so much.
All right, I'm coming. All right, sorry. See, if this was in person, you guys would all be laughing at me dropping something on the way up. Thank you, nice job. Can you talk a little bit about the cities that you're connected to, to maybe an unindoctrinated person would think that they're sort of random. How did you get into these cities, Northern Ohio? Have you tried Cincinnati? And then you're out in Bend, Oregon. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have reached out to at least 30, 40 cities and states to start interviewing what their problems are currently. We have looked into the traffic roundabouts and intersection database that's already published. Kittleson Associates is one of the great resources that we have where we can access that database and also find these contacts through them and talk to them. So we have talked to these cities and states, understood their problems, and sort of refined our hypothesis.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I can't tell if it's me cleaning this thing that is causing the sensitivity on our clicker, but we will fix it for the next time. Ready, Nicole? All right, come on up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have at it.
Hi, my name is Nicole Cheney, and I'm here to introduce TAPO, which is Transforming Attitudes, Policies, and Organizations. TAPO is a web-based application that has curated content, race-based content, that facilitates and utilizes conversation for racial engagement for organizations. Oops. For today's presentation, we're going to be viewing the world through Kelly's eyes. Kelly is an HR director for a large corporation, and she's recently realized that her company is having some issues. Like many other companies, Kelly is losing money, and a lot of it, due to unfair treatment with race and ethnicity issues in her company. High turnover, poor culture, low productivity, and brand image are all some of the issues that Kelly could be facing due to race and ethnicity. In the last year, unfair treatment due to race and ethnicity has cost U.S. businesses $54.1 billion due to absenteeism, $58.7 billion due to reduced productivity, and in the last 5 years, $171.9 billion due to turnover. As Kelly's company starts returning back to the office, she realizes that some of her employees of color do not want to come back due to work culture. Along with Kelly having to figure out some of the issues with disparate treatment in her organization, there's also a lot of pressure from the top to create more diverse leadership teams to report higher innovation revenue. Sorry, my mask keeps getting in the way. So what is Kelly to do? She wants to make sure that change and impact is going throughout her organization, but she doesn't know how to get there. Introducing TAPO. TAPO is an application that engages in racial conversation, and it's also interactive with game-like mechanics. It has modules such as facts, terms, and information that guides the users through, I'm just gonna have to take this off, through the application. There's thousands of organizations in Cincinnati that have indicated that they need ample opportunity for employees to safely share their own DEI experiences. And they also need training that can go across the organization and from top to bottom. There is competition and applications out there. However, very few include inclusion and equity, are interactive, and also provide valuable data to organizational leadership. As I mentioned before, TAPO is an application that provides curated content. It walks users through this information, all geared around conversation. There's a lot of data that can be provided to companies to really check in on the company's culture and figure out issues quickly that need to be addressed, such as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion issues, and figure out really what they are and what they need to target it to improve those problems. This all started because of my master's thesis within the Master of Design program at DAP. I did a lot of research. There's been actually a prototype that's been tested. We got a lot of great feedback from students that went through this exercise. It was a clickable prototype, but we're wanting to take this to the next round now. We need a second prototype, and we're hoping to get there by spring of 2022. So TAPO is very powerful, but we do need people to make this a real application. Currently on the team, we have Dr. Tia Cherie Gaynor. She is a research expert in social justice and racial healing. And then I have myself, I'm a design researcher and also a user experience designer. But the things that we need going forward is intellectual property protection, and then resources to hire an application developer so we can take this from a prototype to a working application. And then we also need access to human resource personnel for some initial feedback and testing. Some testing was done early on with students, but we want to actually test this with HR personnel. Thank you for your time. We'd love to hear from you. Tia could not be here today, but on behalf of Tia and myself, I just want to say thank you for listening to our presentation.
All right, I'll take the clicker.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate
Sorry,
it.
I'll put my
You're good. So, obviously very interesting stuff. If you're going to test it next with some HR personnel, do you think that that's the next right step before you get a developer, or is your prototype really can you click through it, or how do you facilitate it, I guess is the right question. How are you going to facilitate this in a test scenario today, or is the next step to have an application developer build a click-through prototype or something that you could get in front of people?
Well, we're working, I forgot to mention this in my presentation, but we're actually working with another designer right now to make it more accessible. There were some accessibility issues, so we want to straighten that out. I think really the next step, once we do that, is to test that, and then based on that information, then we actually code and program it so it can be an actual application.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any questions from the internet, Dave? All right, Dave's still dreaming about cats. All right, our last presentation is, this is our bookend from University of Dayton. Zenpor is the name of the team, and as we work on the technical piece of this, it was pre-recorded, comes to us from Jane Robinson's lab at the University of Dayton, and whenever we are all ready to queue it up, we will we'll show that, and then you'll see me for another minute or two, and but enjoy our last presentation. Thank you.
Zenpor is developing a pipeline of antibiotics and antibiotic-coated medical devices incorporating our patented zinc porphyrin to treat drug-resistant bacterial infections. To preface, we're tailoring our delivery to biotech business development experts. This past year, we've all witnessed the negative effects of the global pandemic. The consequences of this unforeseen malady have impacted all aspects of our
working on that technical piece. As you can imagine, doing live, but then inserting a pre-recorded presentation does have its challenges. One of the things we'd like to mention is that if you're interested in reaching out to the Venture Lab, or you're interested in applying to the next cohort, we would love to have you in round 16 and to be considered in round 16. We will, in the chat box, put the link to the application, and then I'll have Dave put the dates in there as well. For both application deadline and for when we'll notify people and when the program starts. We're going to run one more cohort here before the end of the year. And the idea is we'll finish the year strong and then move into some seasonality with our program. All right. Try it again. Here we are.
Zenpor is developing a pipeline of antibiotics and antibiotic-coated medical devices incorporating our patented zinc porphyrin to treat drug-resistant bacterial infections. To preface, we're tailoring our delivery to biotech business development experts. This past year, we've all witnessed the negative effects of the global pandemic. the consequences of this unforeseen malady have impacted all aspects of our daily lives. Now, the coronavirus pandemic was one we couldn't foresee, but drug-resistant bacterial infections are recognized by virtually all authorities to be the next global pandemic. In the US alone, more than 2.8 million antibiotic-resistant infections occur each year. Over 35,000 people die, and to make matters worse, pipelines of new antibiotics are drying up. In addition to this, there have been increased rates of medical device-associated infections, such as catheter-associated UTI, orthopedic surgical site infections, and ventilator-associated pneumonia, which is when bacteria colonize the endotracheal tube of an intubated patient and cause a secondary infection. Take this for example. A man's hospitalized for a viral respiratory infection for which he has to be intubated. During his stay, he contracts drug-resistant bacterial pneumonia. Because of this, he has to stay in the ICU for an additional 2 weeks, and his insurance company has to pay for the diagnostics, therapeutics, and additional stay to treat his pneumonia, probably an additional $200,000 to $250,000. He recovers, but he decides to sue the hospital for malpractice. Now, this is obviously a situation that this patient, hospital staff, and insurance companies don't want to see. So to address infections like this, UD's Dr. Sean Swavey and Dr. Jane Robinson created Zenpor, a patented first-in-class broad-spectrum antibiotic with efficacy against the most dangerous bacteria such as MRSA. As you can see in the diagram below, where green signifies live bacteria and red equals dead, Zenpor is very effective at killing bacteria, even at extremely low concentrations. Moreover, when used in combination with first-line antibiotics like topramycin in the case of pneumonia, we can restore their effectiveness to levels of when they were first introduced. Complementing Zenpor's efficacy is its broad safety profile, and most importantly, the fact that in its 8 years of testing, there's been no resistance development to it. We've also established Zenpor's efficacy on various medically relevant surfaces, including PVC, polyethylene, titanium, and hydroxyapatite, or bone. And because of this, we can create a range of Zenpor-coated medical devices, like catheters, hip and knee implants, bone cement, and endotracheal tubes. And speaking to this, we're currently prototyping and testing our lead device candidate, a Zenpor-coated endotracheal tube, which will prevent ventilator-associated pneumonia. If you recall that first scenario, I want you to now imagine the same patient going in because of the same viral infection. The difference is, this time the doctors use a Zenpor-coated endotracheal tube. The patient doesn't develop pneumonia, and he goes home after a few days. As you can see, with our solution, we're providing the best outcome for all parties involved. And I reiterate, in the 8 years of testing Zenpor, there has been no resistance development to it. We're also creating treatments for some of the most dangerous and costly lung and skin infections, namely pneumonia, tuberculosis, and diabetic foot ulcers. Within the next year, we have 3 main goals: advancing both our endotracheal tube project and at least one pharmaceutical indication to the point of human trials, gaining access to some FDA-sponsored expedited programs, and making contact with pharmaceutical and medical device companies, either entering into co-development partnerships or entering into acquisition. Right now, the team includes Dr. Jane Robinson, myself, and Matthew Willenbrink, along with the team and resources at UDRI. In addition to this, we're currently building our advisory board and have commitments from Dr. Fred Tenover, who heads scientific affairs at Cepheid, and Dr. John Koff of Yale University, who's been collaborating with us on mouse studies of Zenpor's safety and efficacy. To help us reach our 1-year goals, we'd like to expand and diversify our advisory board with regulatory and business development experts, as well as academic research collaborations on top of our current partnership with Yale. With these additions, we can refine and budget for our next year's strategy, file our regulatory submissions, and broker intros to the players we ultimately aim to partner with. Finally, we would really benefit from identifying leads for additional sources of non-dilutive funding, ideally from government or nonprofit. Summarize, if we don't have that antibiotic resistance, it will be the next global pandemic. With Zenpor, we'll be able to take a step in the right direction, developing new therapies and devices that will both treat and prevent these infections while hindering the development of new resistance. With all this, we're wondering what questions you have and who you might know that can help us advance the project. Thank you, and we look forward to talking more with you soon. Zenpor is developed.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us here through till the end on our 15th graduation from this pre-accelerator program. It wouldn't be possible without the folks of you that are in the chat box that function as entrepreneurs in residence with us and mentors, and our team. So Greg and Harry, thank you very much in the background working on the technical pieces. Elizabeth, thank you very much. Elizabeth Wetzel for running our pre-accelerator program. It wouldn't be possible without the hard work that you guys put into it. So thank you. And with that, I appreciate you spent your morning with us. I hope your day is off to a great start and you're energized to go tackle your Tuesday. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you.